So for those of us that have been watching Yellowstone 1883 and 1923, there is a bit of a shocker if you have been watching 1923 and have actually watched the finale of yesterday's 1923 with the resolution to how does Alexandra get to Spencer's arms. All this and more. So, as you can see over here on my other screen that I have open, we've got the three Duttons up here at the top. We've got Claire Dutton. She had been James Dutton's sister, and eventually Jacob Dutton and his wife Cara would have come over from England to help bring the Montana ranch into existence. Claire Dutton had been married to Henry, and they had a daughter, Mary Abel. As far as we all know, between 1883, from 1883, these three died. We know that. Eventually, along the way, in 1883, like I said, we meet James Dutton. We meet his wife, Margaret Dutton, both played by Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, respectively. And I'm doing this video just a little bit different from the other videos that I've seen. Their oldest was Elsa, who, prior to being 18, she was 17 when the show started for 1883. She had a couple of guys, but she actually did end up marrying Sam. And Sam said that he would come back for her. Well, he didn't make it back to her before she died in 1883, unfortunately. Now, at the time of 1883, we meet two young boys, John Dutton Sr. and Spencer Dutton. And they're just little boys. They... in season 4 of Yellowstone, we do see Spencer Dutton in some flashbacks. Well, here we go. We're going to catch you up on 1923, even if you haven't seen yesterday's finale of 1923. So here we go. By the time that Margaret Dutton was able to get a letter off to her brother-in-law, Jacob Dutton, to come help us with the ranch in Montana, Jacob and his wife Cara eventually do make it, but only after the fact of where Margaret Dutton is frozen to death. And the boys, John Dutton Sr. and Spencer Dutton, they're just barely alive. They're malnourished. They couldn't fend for themselves. They were too young. So, Cara took care of them, being their proverbial mom in that sense. Time goes on. John Dutton Sr. stays at the ranch, helps his uncle and aunt. He gets married to Emma Dutton. They have a son, Jack Dutton. Jack Dutton marries Elizabeth Dutton, and we don't know if they have a son. But we do know for a fact, if you've watched 1923, John Dutton Sr. dies. His wife, Emma, kills herself. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Jack ends up murdered. Spencer Dutton has an interesting story behind him. He fought at the Battle of Argonne in World War I. He ends up being a hero, and it causes several people within 1923 to see that maybe it's not wise enough to fight this family. He's coming back from Europe, from fighting in Europe, where after World War I, he went to Africa as a big game hunter, helping them. I think he's helping them with their doing something, but he's mainly trying to do his best keeping people safe. Along the way in Africa, he meets Alexandra, and they end up married in 1923, the very first season of 1923. Now, Spencer doesn't know. You sleep with your wife, she eventually gets pregnant. Well, this all kind of leads up to where we're going here. For those of us who have watched Yellowstone, we know briefly for John Dutton Jr., who had been John Dutton III, Kevin Costner's character, we do meet John Dutton Jr. He is the father to John Dutton III, whose wife is Evelyn Dutton. She ends up dying from falling off a horse and breaking her neck. She dies, and it traumatizes Beth. Beth Dutton, who ends up marrying Rip Wheeler. Lee Dutton is actually the oldest of the Dutton children. He dies trying to keep cattle rustling from happening. Well, he dies. So the next oldest would most likely be Kayce is the youngest of the Duttons, Beth being the next oldest. Jamie's just adopted in. He's a Garrett, and Jamie doesn't realize this until later. And, between Beth and I don't think it's Christina so much, might be Christina, but Beth and Christina basically egged Jamie Dutton, Garrett, to get rid of his dad, his birth father. So he does. Now, I haven't seen the second half of season 5 of Yellowstone yet. So I don't know if Jamie Dutton has John Dutton III, Kevin Costner's character, killed off. I've heard that happens. But here's the rest of this from the Yellowstone universe. Kayce Dutton, he's married to Monica Long. They have a son, Tate Dutton. Well, Tate Dutton was supposed to have a baby brother, but the baby brother doesn't survive because Monica Long Dutton and her baby, they get in a car wreck, a massive car wreck, and it aborts the baby. But Tate basically tells his grandfather, I'm gonna have a little brother, and I'm gonna be the best big brother I can be to my baby. Well, if you've watched 1883 and all of Yellowstone so far, Tate actually fulfills the 7 generations from James and Margaret Dutton, portrayed by Graham Greene. There is a negotiation that went on between Tim McGraw's James Dutton and Graham Greene's I guess he's a Crow Indian. Somebody can reply back on my video and set me straight. But the agreement is that the land reverts back to Native Americans in 7 generations. So let's count that off here, and see how John Dutton Jr., portrayed by Dabney Coleman, ends up being Spencer and Alexandra Dutton's son. And there's a reason I'm saying that. I'm sorry if I'm ruining the season finale of yesterday's 1923 when I do this, and there's a reason I'm doing this, because I've already said that John Dutton Sr. here and his wife Emma, they died. Later on, Jack Dutton dies, even though his wife Elizabeth is supposedly pregnant. We never get to meet her possible baby by Jack. So that can't be John Dutton Jr. We know, for those of us that have watched, we know for those of us that have watched 1923 up to this point, that Alexandra, she's found by Spencer, and she's thinking, I'm gonna die in this massive snowdrift that has covered this car, having killed both my friends. She's in this horrible mess, but she doesn't realize that she's on the train that's coming to Livingston, Montana. And she is horribly frostbitten, both in her hands and her feet, almost up to her knees. She's pregnant by Spencer, who is her husband. Spencer's on that train that's coming right at her, even though she's parked off to the side in a massive snowdrift. And she's just saying, if you were a god. And this affected me in such a massive way because I do believe the Lord is my Savior. I do believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I'm putting that out there here and now. Here's where this comes into play for the rest of Spencer Dutton, Alexander Dutton, their child, and how everything fits within the Yellowstone universe. Alexandra does give birth to a premature baby. He's only been in her womb for 6 months, supposedly, according to the show creator Taylor Sheridan. Before she dies, and after Spencer saves her by telling her, "I jumped off a moving train to come get you," she wasn't really speaking nonsense, so she wasn't too far gone yet. But when you're carrying a child, you've got major frostbite, there are some pretty good chances that you're not going to survive that. So at any rate, Spencer Dutton saves Alexander Dutton. They get back on the train. They're headed for Livingston, where this massive gunfight is about to take place. Spencer Dutton, and I know I'm ruining this for a lot of people that really wanted to watch the season finale on their own. I suggest you watch it. It's powerful. It is possibly, hands down, one of the best episodes I've probably seen. I love Timothy Dutton as an actor playing Mr. Whitfield, I believe. Go ahead, correct me if I'm wrong. But Whitfield and his men, they want to get rid of all the Duttons and take over the Dutton Ranch in 1923. Spencer, there is so much to unpack here. I'm not even going to get to it all because I'm wanting to show how Dabney Coleman's John Dutton Jr. is actually Spencer and Alexandra Dutton's son. I believe in my heart of hearts. It's got an ambiguous ending, but before Alexandra dies, she tells her husband Spencer, "I want to name our child John." And she does. So with that said, and we know this whole line of Duttons is gone, look how that sets up for Dabney Coleman being John Dutton Sr. to be Kevin Costner's father, John Dutton III. It's highly likely. It's highly likely. So there's a reason I'm using Town and Country's Arts and Culture, the Yellowstone Dutton family tree. You can find this, by the way. I'm going to end up posting this link so that everybody can look at this really hard. And you're going to see what I'm talking about once you get caught up with the whole show of 1923 and how Dabney Coleman's John Dutton Jr. actually fits the whole lineage off of Spencer and Alexandra to the rest of the current Yellowstone cast. With that being said, it's not like I was wanting to do a massive spoiler alert and to ruin the ending of 1923, and I know I haven't by means, because there are some surprises in 1923 that even shocked me. And that's the reason why I'm not diving too deep into that episode. I'm just ruining the part where Alex, as she's called by Spencer, where she tells Spencer, I want to name our boy John. And I do believe in it for a fact that it's this John Dutton right here. Dabney Coleman's John Dutton Jr. So there you go, guys. I didn't want to make this hugely long. Sorry for the clap there. Not trying to overwhelm my microphone, but I hope everybody has enjoyed this video. And I'm sorry for. I should probably try to edit this video, but I wanted to explain my thoughts and my reasoning for this John Dutton Jr., portrayed by Dabney Coleman, is the son of Spencer and Alexandra Dutton, also known as Alex. Why she would be the grandmother to Kevin Costner's character, John Dutton III. Thank you, guys.